How to organise your life as a working from home composer. Well, if you're tired of feeling overwhelmed and chaotic and a bit lost and unmotivated working from home, then hopefully these top tips on here that I've sort of got into my life in the last 5 to 6 years will really help you to move forward with this. So first thing I would say, reading off my laptop here, is to set up, whatever it is, to set up a dedicated workspace. You really cannot manage sitting on your bed working on a laptop. It's just totally the wrong vibe, totally the wrong sort of thing. You need to have a separate space in your house where you do your work, and ideally that is just where you do your work. Now, if you are very short of space, it might be that you need to fold something out or set it up to work. But it might be a corner in a separate room. Ideally, if you have a separate space, that is amazing. If you have a separate space in the garden, that is even more amazing. But some separate space that you can in your mind say, this is my workspace, no matter how modest, psychologically is really important. I would also, if at all possible, try and have that space not in the bedroom, which is psychologically relaxing and psychologically downtime, not in the living room by the sofa where, you know, again, it's psychologically sort of downtime, somewhere in a bright corner if you have one, somewhere where you don't associate it with sort of rest or downtime, something that's a place that's a bit more dewy if at all possible. Number 2, set time parameters to yourself. I think I find this hugely, having the whole day of essentially freedom to do what on earth you want from 8:30 to 5:30 without interruption, if that is, you are lucky enough to have that, is amazing, but it's also quite overwhelming. Sitting at 8 o'clock in the morning thinking, well, what am I going to do today? And just, well, I'll do a bit of this and I'll start on this and this, that and the other. Your chances are you're going to be very unfocused. You're going to run out of time. You're going to run out of energy, run out of motivation. My advice is the night before, the week before, even a month before, to be planning out what you're going to be doing on a monthly, weekly and daily basis, and the night before to be working out what you're going to be doing pretty much on an hourly basis the day after. And to get into it really straight away, first thing, I truly believe that what you do in the first hour or two of your day sets you up for the rest of the day. So if you're focused, straight in there, hardworking, positive and energetic for the first hour or two in the morning, that will continue through the day. If you have a slow start, you're sort of fanning around, you don't quite know what you're doing, making stuff up and just sort of think, oh, I'll just have another cup of coffee. The whole day will just fritter away. So start hard and continue hard is my advice. Try and decide on your best time of day to work as well. If you are lucky enough to be able to work from home full time, or you've got to mix it with other work or other commitments, then you might have some freedom as to when you can work. For me personally, I'm a morning person, so I do there's a book called Eat the Frog, isn't there? Getting the hardest things done in the morning or something it's about. Is it Eat the Frog? Something like that. Or is it a saying? I don't know. But I get my composing done in the morning. 4 hours of composing in the morning done. Lunchtime, afternoon, admin and, you know, cut downs and all of this sort of thing. YouTube videos. Getting the tough stuff done at your best time of day. Now, it might not be morning, it might be evening for you. You might work brilliantly between 9 and midnight. And for me, I'm asleep at that point. But, you know, you may be totally different. But work out what is your best time of day and work to your strength. I've already alluded to this, but scheduling your days and weeks, I think, is really important. Having a long-term goal, a yearly outline of what you want to achieve in the year. Break it down into months, what you want to try and achieve each month. Break it down into weeks. At the weekend, look ahead for the week. What do I need to do this coming week? Each evening, look ahead for the day ahead. What do I need to do for the day ahead? Break it into chunks, hour it down. And actually having that printed out in front of you is really helpful, having it on a spreadsheet or something. I do think physically, particularly not necessarily the weekly or monthly planning, I don't think needs to be written down, but I think the daily plan, it can be really helpful to physically write stuff down and tick it off or cross it out as you're doing it. It's a lot more satisfying. At the end of the workday, switch off and close the door. So Doesn't have to be a real door. I'm lucky here I have a space that's at the front of the house that is just my workspace. It has a door. I can close the door in the evening. That's my commute, and then that's me done for the day. There's a temptation, I think, as a work from home composer to think, well, I don't know, I'll just leave the computer on and I could perhaps come back to this later this evening. But actually, you need to have designated downtime as well. So I think planning your work time is really, really important, but planning your downtime as well is really, really vital. Planning when you're going to not be relaxing and not thinking about composing or working at all is really, really important too. Closing the door, closing the curtains, packing your stuff away, whatever you need to do to create some separation. I also have a slightly unusual, well, it's not unusual, but I have a bit of a thing with I have a work light here, which lights behind my my workstation. When that's on, essentially I'm working. When it's off, it's off. And that sounds a really basic thing, but just having some notification to yourself of what is work time and what is not, burning a candle, having a light on, having a blob lamp thing going, I don't know, just something that designates this as being work time, and then you switch that off and that is the end of work time, is really, really important. Have regular breaks away from your workspace. Now, the temptation, I think, if you're doing this on your own, is that you just try and work all the way through the day. Obviously, if you worked in an office or a more corporate environment, there are regulations to how much break you should get. You should probably give yourself a lot more than that. But I rarely work for more than 2 hours without a break. So I'll do my 4 hours of composing in the morning, sometimes with an hour and a half break. With a half-hour break in between 2 hours, half an hour break, 2 hours. So I sort of have the late-ish lunch. For example, the afternoon I break up a little bit more frequently, getting away from the workstation, walking, doing something physical, some physical activity, some stretching, some yoga, going out for a walk, going for a run, going for a cycle. I go for a cycle. All of these things regularly to create some physical routine as well. I think for us as composers, the temptation to sit in front of our computer without moving for 4 hours on the trot is extremely high, but also extremely physically dangerous for us. It's really bad. Try to get out to speak to other people every single day if you can do, be that online, be it just speaking to your family or whoever you live with. But if you can actually get out, I will do it as blatantly as popping over to the shop to just pick up something or buy something, just to have a conversation with another adult face to face, another human being face to face in the middle of the day. It's really, really important. Just going to the supermarket, seeing other people doing stuff, it's really isolating. I think working as a composer, I could sit in this room and not see another person all day. We live in quite a quiet street here. People go out to work in the morning and school in the morning, come back in the afternoon. I've done 6 hours without talking to anybody, which sometimes is great. Other times, I think you really need to pick up on that and make sure you do sort of just get out into society a little bit sometimes. Exercise regularly. I've just touched on this one, but sitting still for more, I don't know what the actual guidelines are, but sitting still for hours on end is incredibly, incredibly bad for you. Your heartbeat slows, your blood thickens, your muscles, I was going to use the word atrophy, is that right? Your muscles stiffen though. Moving frequently, regularly, getting your heartbeat up, even doing, some standing jumping jacks and some aerobics, anything just to get moving and to get going regularly when you're working at home. And by regularly, I mean on an hourly basis at least, is absolutely vital. If your body feels good, then your brain will feel good and you will work better. As soon as your body starts shutting down, in my experience, your brain slows and everything sort of goes down. Sort out some sort of commute or an alternative to a commute to signal wind down. Now, we talked about, light on if we're working. What do you do to transition from work time to playtime, as it were? And I think the traditional commute to work is a pain, but it serves its purpose in that it's like a wall. It's a period of nothing time to a certain extent. Be it driving, going on a train, a quick walk or whatever it is. But that differentiation between work and home, that physical differentiation, I think is really, really important. it can be useful to try and think of some way of doing it. I don't do it, but I think it could be really useful to think of some useful way of just separating the work time from your sort of other time. Opening and closing the door, the light going on and off for me. Do you go out and you come back and have a walk round and just sort of separate it? Do you, for me actually, doesn't quite work like this, but in the morning I tend to walk the dog, come straight to, and then sit down straight to work. At the end of the day, I don't tend to finish work and then walk the dog, but I could do, for example. So I'd have a dog walk at each end of the day, which the dog would love. But that would sort of differentiate and just sort of stop the flow a little bit, I think. I think something, and if it can include getting outside and getting into a different environment, I think that could be really, really helpful. Finally, regular meals and planned snacks. Oh my goodness, the constant lure and temptation of the kitchen. Yeah, that's a hard one. For me, I try not to have biscuits and snacks in the house here, though inevitably we do because I don't live on my own. If I need to eat between meals, I try to restrict it to fruit only. I'm not always successful at that. There is a massive temptation being here on my own a lot of the time, working, to be constantly making cups of tea, constantly nibbling on biscuits, constantly opening the fridge door, constantly grazing. Again, something that is hugely detrimental to us physically, and also I think it's just not good for you mentally to be in that space of needing to do that all the time. I do pretty much plan when I'm going to eat, and rather boringly, for lunches, I tend to eat more or less the same thing every day. Not all the time, but it doesn't vary a huge amount. So I don't have to make a lot of choices and decisions about food during the workday. If I'm snacking on fruit. He said, in theory, that's how it should work. I'm not 100% on that, so I find it really difficult. But planning out what you're supposed to eat, reducing the temptation by not having snacks and crap in the house is really helpful. Planning when you're going to snack, planning when you're going to eat, possibly reducing your choices so you're just going to eat the same thing for lunch, or even pre-making your lunches if you would do as if you were going to go out might be helpful. Anything to avoid that scenario where you get to lunchtime and you've got to choose what to make. So you end up either making something totally inappropriate or snacking while you're eating if you're really hungry. You know, there's all sorts of rabbit holes you can go down. But making it as clear and as organised beforehand as possible, I think, is the way to go. Hope there was some pointers of use in there. If you have a similar experience to me of working from home as a composer or creative, and you have some other ideas that you think would be really helpful to share with others, then please put them in the comments below. It'd be great to hear from you. Thank you very much for watching, and hope to see you in another video. Bye-bye.